to now, we've always kept our hay in the hayloft. So we really needed to find a way to be able to store more, which is what we're going to work on today. Up to now, since we've had goats, we've always kept our hay in the hayloft. We've got one on each sides, and that's worked fine, especially when there was only 2 or 3 goats that were not in milk. And we could load these up with about 40 bales or so, and that'd be good for the year. But now that the goats are older and producing, and there's currently 4 of them, throw in a couple extra kids along the way, and that 40 bales no longer lasts the year. And last year, with 8 kids on top of the 3 adults and the lactating does, we went through a ton of hay, and finding hay in the winter is really difficult and really expensive because it's not hay season. So we really needed to find a way to be able to store more longer term so that we don't have that problem anymore, which is what we're going to work on today. So when we bought this property, this concrete pad was already here, and up to this point we've just piled brush on it that needed burned. It's just kind of been a catch-all so we didn't kill off grass, and we haven't really needed it for anything else before. But it's actually a really great blessing because today we're going to use it. As you can see, we've cleared off all of the said brush and the vines and some poison ivy that were starting to grow across it and things like that. So it is all cleared off, and we are going to put a small-ish 10 by 12 metal shed on here for the purpose of storing larger amounts of hay long term. So Lord willing, we'll be able to fill up this and the hay loft, and that will tie us over for the whole year. See how that goes, but that's the goal. So we have purchased a barn kit off of Amazon. There will be a link below in the description, and once we've gotten through putting it together and everything, we'll let you know how we like it, kind of a review of that. We're not getting paid for this review. We're just wanting to help you make an informed decision if you decide to go this route and get a similar setup for your own hay storage. Okay, so we've got the shed, hay barn, if you will, brought back here as is. This is how it was delivered, 2 separate deliveries, 2 large boxes, which, as you can imagine, are quite heavy to lift. They're around 120 pounds each. So we just got those back here. We're gonna pop them open and find some instructions and get to work. So since I do not have lapels to mic us the entire time, we're going through the process of building the shed. Plus that would be a really lot of dead time in the footage. So what we're gonna do now is I have all of those clips that I recorded yesterday when we were building the shed, and we're gonna just kind of watch along with those and give somewhat of a voiceover of what we can remember that was going on while those clips were happening, to kind of give you our impressions and our thoughts, and just what we liked or didn't like about the kit, the process, etc. as we go along. I would say one of these boxes, when they got delivered, did have a smashed spot on top. So I'm not sure if it was from just mishandling while it was being shipped, or if it's just, I don't know, but some of the pieces, especially towards the roof peak, were a little bit bent out of shape, and it may have been from that damage while shipping. And then our handy manual here. So this manual, no words, really. Not on the building part, at least. Lots and lots of pictures, and they were labeled fairly well. Yeah, it's just a matter of you gotta pay really, really close attention to the pictures to make sure your orientation's right and everything.
Probably could have helped if it was like double the size, so the pictures could have been bigger, so you could see some of those a little bit better.
Yeah, that might have helped a little bit too. It did say there were some things at the front. Watch the weather. Be sure the day you select is dry and calm. And we did know that. Do not attempt to assemble your shed in windy weather. We did totally understand why that was a thing. Because when we were putting the walls on, before they were like hooked together with the top pieces, they were just like flapping in the breeze.
Thankfully it wasn't windy. It was just a little breezy.
Yeah, just light breeze. But if there was windy, that would have been bad. Also, whenever possible, 2 or more people should work together. And somewhere it said something about like it would take 2 people a full day to do it. Yeah, it requires 2 people a full day to complete installation.
I thought we did a good job.
Yeah.
Couldn't take a full day.
No, we started what, 1-ish?
1-ish.
Finished around 8-ish. So I guess a full work day, but not a full day. Whew. We're tired afterward. And that also included some things that had to be taken apart and reassembled because they were backwards. Many times we did that. And sometimes, as you'll see, we just said forget it and left them backwards and made it work. Also, site selection, avoid overhanging trees as much as possible.
We did not do that. Ours is directly under
Totally.
2 trees.
So hopefully no branches fall on it because it's gonna get crunched if that's the case. But that's where our concrete pad was. So that's why we chose that site. Oh, one thing that was really handy was that all the pieces were labeled. So you didn't have to like guess which piece was which. They were all very clearly labeled. Some of them, for whatever reason, were etched, but most of them had stickers on them. That made it super easy to tell which piece you were looking for. That was very helpful. Okay, so this was making the frame that goes around the base of the shed. That was pretty easy, straightforward. Just make the 4 sides and screw them together. And then the walls, the corner pieces. But yeah, there's like no like corner structures for stability or wall beams or anything. It's just the walls that hold up the roof. How'd you feel about that?
I felt like we made the frame around the bottom, and then I was expecting the next step to be a frame around the top, or even maybe do one corner piece and then the other corner piece and a top piece between the 2. But it wasn't. You had to do all the 4 corners freestanding, and they just kind of flopped around, and then you came back and did those connectors. So
yeah,
it worked.
Windy, that would have been bad.
It worked, but yeah, that's definitely when it showed that the wind would have been a very, very bad thing. So
yeah, and putting up the top pieces was fairly non-eventful.
yeah.
And then you came back afterwards and put some squares in the corner to keep it square-ish.
Ish. Square was very ish on this.
It's probably not square at all.
But the flimsiness, rigidity, or lack thereof of the materials, it's all super flexible. So it's hard to keep it square even if you got it square.
True. Yeah, and it's so lightweight, even sometimes we would accidentally like shove it across the pad somewhat. And you had mentioned as far as having the shed on the pad, because it's lightweight, being concerned about wind.
Yeah, I'm still concerned about what's going to keep this thing in place. I mean, it's heavy, but wind is pretty strong. So
yeah, we've had some pretty impressive windstorms over the years.
I kind of almost wonder, we're planning to put pellets in for the floor. I'm contemplating, depending on how they fit in place, potentially even running some screws through the bottom outside, potentially into the pallets to kind of hold the structure at least to the pallets and see if that helps.
Maybe a little heavier, like rather, instead of like drilling into the concrete pad itself.
Right. So I don't.
So that was the thought
Yeah.
about like bolting it down somewhat.
Not sure how we would accomplish that, but
And then the walls.
yeah. Not sure what to say about the walls. I felt like why did they have to have so many different sizes? I don't, the walls weren't as bad if I recall correctly. They were
Yeah, the walls were
Mostly the
mostly all the
same
same
size.
size unless there was like an odd sized wall.
right.
Like I think the back wall had one piece that was skinnier than the rest, just to make it match up. For the most part, the wall sizes weren't so bad, but there was a lot of them and a lot of screws requiring a lot of washers.
Pre-washered screws would have been
That-
really handy.
Yeah, that was honestly half the job right there, was just putting washers on the
washers on
screws. It took
every
just as long to
single
put the washers on as it did to put the screw into the metal. So that was a bit of a slow process. And that was like for like every screw on the outside of the building. So all the wall pieces, all the roof pieces had to be washered. So yes, having them come with the washers already on would have definitely been a lot easier.
The one wall we did tag team 2 drills and started at opposite ends. It doesn't really say how you should overlap them, but the pieces do overlap. So when we ran into each other at the end of that wall, it was a little. You had to just make sure the one got under the right
little bit
way,
angling.
but it wasn't bad. But I think after that wall, it was just you washered and I screwed because it was just
Yeah.
so much time to do those washers.
Yeah. I think at one point we had the kids just putting washers on screws for us and just build up a whole pile that we could pull from. And then the roof, once the walls were put together. Okay, so these slanted roof pieces.
Like the faces of the front and back.
Yeah, that was like probably the flimsiest part of the whole thing, honestly.
Honestly, if any piece needed to be made out of thicker metal, it was this. They were bent up just because of how they shipped.
Super bent up. They were like inside of a box of their own, inside of the main box, but they were still like really banged up and bent out of shape. They're still banged up and bent out of shape. They do the job, but
The wells have the corrugation that gives them some rigidity. These are just flat, and they're just very thin metal. They needed to be
yeah,
a thicker gauge.
that part wasn't too bad to put together though. It just definitely, that part needed to be heavier duty.
Popping out of the top. Really tall. Those screws lined up fine. Everything seemed to work okay.
Yeah, I think overall the kit itself was really well designed. Because everything except where we messed up, everything lined up just right. All the screw holes were just right for the most part, and
The roof got a little bit squirrely. No, we did mess up some of that, but even some of the holes lining up, I think, as I mentioned earlier about squareness and how flimsy the kit as a whole is. The roof, some of the roof pieces lining up the holes were a little difficult, but they were, when the pieces were put together properly, they were in at least a near vicinity that you could give it a little wiggle and you'd get close enough to get your screws in place.
so everything went together well. We weren't missing any pieces. There was extra hardware pieces, which was nice because we did drop some of those. And the roof. We pause your regularly scheduled programming to explain what on earth is going on up here. So, don't know if it's a kit issue or if it's an us issue, but these holes up here where you're supposed to be screwing the roof into the whatever you call this top beam here are not lining up. They're like at least an inch off from each other. like side to side, and yeah, not sure why, not sure what that's about. I don't know, maybe we got this top piece flipped around backwards. I'm not sure. I feel like this was probably the most time-consuming part, just because you had.
You thought the walls had a lot of screws.
Yeah, because the roof you had screws in 3 places, which is great because you know it's a lot sturdier that way, more structure and support and everything. But that was a lot of
And
screws.
this is where it was really weird. The major difference in sizes of those pieces. There was what, 4 different varieties of roof pieces of all varying widths.
Yeah.
Why those had to be that way, I really didn't understand, but that's how it was. So
Yeah. The one specific type had like an extra hole for the flashing to go on, but the rest of them, I don't know why there was so much variety. When you've been recording all day and your phone battery is dying, so you charge it with a DeWalt battery. These roof panels are all slightly different and they have to be put in a very specific order. So that's fun. Also, I think we figured out the issue up here with this center beam here. And I remember questioning it when we put this up. This is actually made of 3 different pieces that have to go in a certain order. And then you do the 3 pieces on each side, and then you stick them all, 6 of them together in the center. And I think we got the 2 end pieces on each side flipped backwards. So that's why the holes didn't line up. So that was an us issue.
yes.
We just discovered that the 3 pieces on that beam are backwards too, aren't they?
This one should be there, and that one should be here.
How's that make you feel? So, are you going to take it down and fix it, or are you just going to force it with sheet metal screws?
Probably force it with sheet metal screws.
These directions are extremely specific, but there aren't actually directions, just pictures, and so you have to pay extreme attention to detail or that happens. So once we got the 1/2 of the roof on, then it had us do part of the other side,
Maybe a third, maybe?
maybe,
a
and
third.
then put the flashing on top as we went. How did you feel that went?
The idea made sense, just because you wouldn't be able to reach it. I think they could have let you put on one more panel for that first section because it was still reachable.
Yeah.
However, those pieces, when you needed to screw on the next set because the flashing extended over the next area, as it made sense, it made it difficult to get those top screws in on the next, at least one panel.
Yeah, you were almost like bending it out of shape just
Yeah.
to get this
To
drill
get
under
under
there.
there.
So you get a really tiny screwdriver.
And your holes lined up.
Yeah.
And you put the beam together properly.
And you didn't have to use your sheet metal
Right.
screws because you
So-
messed it up.
Part of that was our own fault. But I still think
I did wonder at one point if it would have been easier to have one of those like angle bits on your drill for doing that, so you wouldn't have to lift it up so high.
that's high. Yeah. It's hard to get leverage behind that, something like that. But
Yeah.
there again, if all your holes lined up and you put your beams together properly, leverage isn't as big of a deal. But we were definitely fighting that.
Yeah. And you're getting kind of close quarters there at the end,
At the
weren't
end,
you? You're a little
yes.
squeezed in there.
Which could have been done from the outside. Again, you have it.
Some of it
reach,
could. I
but-
don't know if you could have reached these far ones on that panel. I don't know. Maybe.
But yeah, some spots got a little tight.
Yeah. But you got it in.
Yeah.
And then it was mostly just these.
Finished pieces.
Yeah.
Just more for a little bit of
I suppose it keeps it from
structural
like
rigidity.
rain coming on your head from the front a little bit. And it did add a little bit of
A
rigidity.
little bit of rigidity, and
It's
it
just
just finished
the-
it off. The aesthetic.
Yeah, what is that word I'm looking for there? like trim
Trim
pieces.
yeah.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, the corner caps and roof caps were white plastic, even though the rest of the barn is like brown and the roof is gray. So they didn't use it. They didn't use an exterior designer for picking their colors. But whatever, we didn't get it for looks. We got it for function.
If you're getting this for looks, you'll probably be disappointed. It's gonna get banged up and rough.
Yeah. And last but not least, time for the doors. How'd you feel about those doors?
Looking back, I think they were okay.
They were easy to put together. I didn't like that the directions went back and forth, left door, right door, left door, right door.
That was a little.
We're like, oh, we're done. Put it to the side, and then the next page you have to come back to it. So it would have been nice to like just finish one and then do the other.
Also, at this stage in the project, we were running out of brain power and daylight and strength, and that probably didn't help.
Yeah, that was I think the only part of the book too that was slightly confusing as far as labeling, because the left door and the right door pieces are labeled differently, like D, L, A, and B for the left door left, A and B, and DR, A and B for the right door. But on one of the pictures, it just had all of the labels on the same page, and it was a little bit confusing, but we figured it out. And honestly, the hardware on the door pieces was like heavy duty hardware. That's the kind of hardware we probably ought to have on our other structures. Because it was really heavy duty. Like way overkill for this
Hinges,
flimsy
latches, all that stuff. Yeah, it's way overkill considering the not rigidity of the rest of the structure.
Right. But, I mean, at least we know those parts will last for sure and can be reused on something else later. So the last but not least was just putting those doors on.
I think I mentioned to you when we were building that the doors have diagonal supports on them.
Mm-hmm.
The doors themselves probably will stay more square than anything else of the barn because of those. But those doors and the rest of the structure, its flimsiness, those doors are going to get annoying to latch properly, I think, over time. The frame and stuff is going to shift and warp, but this heavy duty hinges and stuff aren't going to get it. It's going to be, I think, give it some time and we'll be fighting those doors every time we try and open and close them, but
time will tell.
It'll be all right.
It's done. Kidding. It has these little screw caps to go on the inside where we screwed on the roof, so that you don't scrap your head on it or whatever. But meh. Totally hit my shoulder. Yeah, I did wonder if, like, I guess if it becomes an issue, if the inside could be maybe shored up or made a little bit more sturdy with just some 2x4s or something to get a little bit more rigidity on the walls. It would also add some weight to it, so you wouldn't have to worry. I mean, obviously that's kind of somewhat defeating the purpose of having like a DIY kit.
Right.
But depending on what you use it for.
I thought the same thing about just going back and just adding some extra supports. I don't know if we will or not, but
probably not.
Probably not. Till it blows away on us, and then we have to.
Right.
But and once you get stuff in it, you're not going to go back and add those because everything's going to be in the way. So
yeah. So our main purpose for this is to store hay long term, as I mentioned, like for over winter, so we can just have more at a time instead of having to make multiple purchases throughout the year. So as long as those washers do their job and the roof is watertight, then I feel like it'll do the job.
I think it has potential to do the job. I don't have faith in the washers, so I think
You might be going back with
we'll be going back with some silicone before we fully load it up.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping it rains real good before we get hay, just so we can see ahead of time. Or I might just do it anyway. I don't know.
Plus, there's potential for it to, depending on the direction of wind and such with the rain, it's gonna come under the walls too. So
Yeah, that concrete pad handy that it was already there, but it is old, and we do have a lot of temperature fluctuation and a lot of rain and stuff throughout the year, so it is cracked. And there was one corner that's kind of sunk a little bit. So I'm not sure. But that is also a high, the one high spot in our yard. So that is nice, at least, that the water isn't coming towards it. It's going away from it. And we're going to be, like he said, putting pallets under there to elevate the hay so it's not going to be on the ground getting wet. But yeah, we definitely don't want too much moisture and humidity in there, because we don't want moldy hay. So overall, how do you feel about the kit and the barn? Is it worth the price? Because it wasn't an expensive kit. So I mean, you only have your expectations so high when you're getting an inexpensive kit.
you get what you pay for. And
Yeah.
so when you're paying this, expect to get what this kit is. Ultimately, for the price, I think it was right. But you have to know what your expectation has to be correct.
It ain't no custom built woodshed. It's probably not even as rigid as like one of those plastic ones you would get at Walmart or whatever that they sell like out in the parking lot area. But it's also a fraction of the price of those. For the price, yeah, it took some elbow grease putting it together, but one day and $300 and whatever dollars, I think is worth it.
Yeah.
Hopefully long term we'll
Agree with
maintain that maintain that statement. Hopefully it does the job. So any other final thoughts? So there you go. That's our thoughts and opinions and just how it went, putting it together, different hiccups we hit along the way, things like that. But overall it was pretty easy set. Fairly easy to put together. Just make sure you're well caffeinated and your brain's functioning properly when you look at the pictures.
Have some sheet metal screws on backup just in case.
Yeah. So there you have it. We have a hay barn. Now we just need to fill it. So hopefully this was helpful for you to make a decision if you are looking for something like this, be it for hay or a lawnmower or whatever. It is a really inexpensive option for those. Time will tell how well it holds up and
How waterproof it is.
yeah, that's a big one. We definitely need it to be waterproof. So we will see how well it does first time it rains. Hope this was helpful for you. Continue following along. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see future videos with whatever homesteading project happens to be going on at the moment. We'll see you next week.